studies that show that women who wear makeup or regularly wear like a decent amount of makeup, kind of show up to the office and glam, also make more money. And so at that point, it stops being, these calculations and decisions stop being about choice, and they start being about patriarchy. We live in systems that were largely built for the convenience of men, and oftentimes were designed with the subjugation of women and queer people in mind.
So Sandy Cortez has devolved to the point where she doesn't even bother to make political arguments. She whines about men as she applies eyeshadow in the ladies' room, just like they do at every restaurant in New York City on a Saturday night, and then expects you to support, say, banning passenger cars as a result.
All right, this is hard to believe, but newly released body cam footage shows the moment a train in Colorado hit a police vehicle while a suspect was inside. That suspect was hospitalized and is expected to survive. And we do have to warn you, this video is graphic and may be disturbing. All right, joining us right now, CNN's Camila Bernal. Camila, how did this happen?
Hey, Fred. So here's what happened. They received a 911 call reporting a road rage incident involving a gun. So when police responded, this was Platteville police, they found 20-year-old Ureni Rios Gonzalez, and she pulled over just after the railroad tracks. So when the police officers pulled over right behind her, they parked right on the railroad tracks. So moments later, there are more officers that arrived to the scene. This is Fort Lupton police, and they arrest her, put her in handcuffs, and then put her in the back of that car that is parked right on the tracks. As they're searching in her truck for this gun that was supposedly involved in this incident, you hear the train horns, and you see these officers kind of going back and forth. It is chaos, and then suddenly that train crushes the police car, just like you saw the video a couple of minutes ago. It is so hard to watch that. Officers immediately calling for medical attention. She is obviously taken to the hospital. We have reached out to her attorney, but have not heard back. But he did speak to local media and said she has 9 broken ribs. She has a broken arm, injuries to her back and to her head. Authorities saying these were serious injuries, but say she is expected to survive. Of course, this entire incident is now under investigation. And as you mentioned, that officer who parked the vehicle right on the tracks has been placed on paid leave. Fred?
Yes, still, that has to be answered. Why park the car on the tracks? Wow. All right, Camila Bernal, thank you so much.
To General David Perkins, the U.S. Army 4-star general, retired now, a Fox News contributor now. We're very lucky to have him. So, General, what's interesting in these developments here is not so much what Ukrainian soldiers are doing, which is remarkable, but the unraveling of Russian support, which might be notable. What do you make of it?
Oh, good day, Neil. Good to be with you. That's exactly, you've nailed it on the head. The two aspects of this are very bad news for the Russians. The Ukrainians have exceeded all expectations, and the Russians have fallen short in every category. And as you were just talking, their attempt to bring in 300,000 or more new people into the army, that is a huge undertaking of which the Russian military is very ill-equipped to deal with. I'll tell you, as a guy who previously was in charge of that for the U.S. Army, bringing in all our recruits and training them, on an average year, the United States Army brings in active duty about 70,000 people. Wow. And we send them to a very rigorous training paradigm, basic training, advanced individual training, and that process can take up to a year. And then we integrate them into units that are well trained, well led, with not commissioned officers and officers, and they are the minority of people in the unit. And that is a full-time job for the United States Army. For the Russian Army to bring in 300,000 people, and your report earlier said they're going to give them 2 weeks of training
2 weeks,
and then
yeah.
form entire units out of them, I just cannot see how that's going to go well.
And a lot of them aren't keen on going in the first place. So what do you make of it?
Well, you know, in the old days of the Soviet Union, they could pretty much control information much better than they can today. I mean, the average Russians are getting an understanding of what's going on in Ukraine and what is in store for them. And they are just concerned not only with, you know, politically, humanitarian, what's going on in Ukraine, but they know that the Russian military is not good. And if they end up in it, they could have a very bad outcome from that. So they have no incentive to be part of this really ill-thought scheme to continue to push ill-trained, ill-equipped, and ill-led people into what's become a meat grinder in Ukraine.
How do you think this ends, General?
You know, war is not just one battle that decides it either way, very seldom. And so you have to look at how the paradigm and, you know, the entire process has gone. And for the Ukrainians, it continues to get better and better and better.
Okay.
And for the Russians, it gets worse and worse day by day in just about every category. Just the other day, the Russian fired their chief logistical general. And so that's been a problem for them. So they're going to bring in a new general in charge of logistics.
Your point,
His first day of work is Monday.
They're running out of people to fire. I'm sorry, General, we're running out of time. My fault for doing that. But I want to thank you as more for your service to this country.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
All right, when it rains, it pours, literally. This morning, hundreds of thousands in Canada are waking up with no power as Fiona barrels up their coast as one of the strongest storms to ever hit the country. And yesterday, the then Category 3 hurricane hammered Bermuda with heavy rain and winds that neared 125 miles per hour. Meanwhile, days after impact, islands in the Caribbean are still dealing with the aftermath, and that's including Puerto Rico, where as of this morning, more than half of the island is still without power. This is nearly a week after the hurricane hit. I want to get the latest from there. Joining me now is Yvonne Rodriguez-Fuiwal. She's the executive advisor of Direct Relief, and Laura N. Perez-Sanchez, a New York Times reporter and contributor. Both are joining me from Puerto Rico. Yvonne, I want to start with you. You're on ground helping people. Most people remain without electricity, and many are without water, bringing back painful memories of Hurricane Maria. Can you tell us what you're seeing on the island, and how are people faring without power?
Devastation and heartbreak. There is over 1 million people without power, and only 40% of the island is with water, potable water. So it's heartbreaking to see just exactly 5 years after Maria, we're going through this all over again. So we're here in the community at Salinas, and most importantly, just talking to the community members and just letting them know that we're here, we're supporting them. We're bringing over 100 volunteers to help them clean the streets and their houses. This entire region was completely flooded. We're also here with MedCentro, one of our longtime partners, offering medical services to the community. Since this was overflowed, many people lost access to medical services. So through donations from Direct Relief, we brought in our mobile medical units and vehicles to do outreach programs and help the peoples of these communities.
Wow. You know, these problems extend beyond just this storm. Laura, I want to ask you, because we remember during the Trump administration, they placed restrictions on the funding that was supposed to go to Puerto Rico because of concerns about mismanagement. Biden undid that. What impact did that have when they placed those restrictions, and what impact is that having now as they restore them? Because these problems are persistent on the island.
Yes, that is true, and that's maybe one of the main causes of why the reconstruction has been so slow. It did have an impact, and actually just this past June, FEMA announced $600 million to restore the grid. They've been working on it, but like bigger projects to try to restore the grid. So that's literally almost 5 years after Hurricane Maria. So that definitely has had an impact. But I do think that the issue has been here with us for a long, long time. It's just it's an old infrastructure that needs to be put up to date. And the recovery has been very, very slow.
You are called to join the King's Guard. No kingdom in all of Africa shares this privilege. Train hard, fight harder. We fear no one.
All right, the #1 movie in the country right now is The Woman King, starring Viola Davis, and it does not disappoint. I've seen it twice already. And the story is not unique. There were multiple women warriors in Africa who stood on the front lines, and this movie serves as a wonderful reminder that the story of black folks did not begin in captivity. Joining me now is Leonard Wanchakan. He's a historical advisor for The Woman King. He is a James Madison Professor of Political Economy at Princeton University and a descendant of the Dahomey people. And I'm thrilled to welcome you here today with me. Few people know that Dahomey was the first African kingdom to develop an all-military regiment, but they were not the only women warriors in Africa. This story is more common than people know. I'm, pushed to remind folks of Yaa Asantewaa of Ghana and other women like that. But tell us about your experience working on this film, especially being a descendant of the Dahomey people.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's a very unique story because, first of all, we have the whole regiment, like 33 to 35% of the whole armed forces made of women. And it was also the front line, the elite military unit of the army. And they were extremely instrumental in defending the territorial integrity of the kingdom in the mid-19th century. In the movie in particular, it was in 1823. But the initial idea of bringing on women to the army was in 1708 by Queen Hanbe, who ruled for 3 years, before it was expanded, institutionalized by King Gezo, who was portrayed in the movie.